if you look at Biden, who we're going to speak about a little bit later, with the busing and so on and so forth, and he came out and he was very clear that he didn't support busing because he didn't want his children raised in a racial jungle. The only reason why I point it out is to give you a flavor of what the prevailing wisdom and the prevailing language was at that time. And this is what we've got to be very careful of.
So before we get to the prison reform, so you went back to the Clinton era. We went to you spoke about 3 strikes. However, in America, I remember Clinton was described as black president, as the black people's president. Well, at the time, a lot of black people voted for Clinton, and a lot of black people loved Bill Clinton. But I don't think, looking back on it, black people in America generally realized the policies that Bill Clinton was putting through that were going to adversely affect their lives.
Well, and this is why education is always very important. Education is very important, and I do remember people describing him ubiquitously as a black president, and I'd like to know. He played
the saxophone.
Well, apparently he played the saxophone, and you know, he had numerous relationships, and you know, he smoked weed. He smoked weed and wasn't faithful to his wife. So in the world we now live in, that qualifies you as black. But look, on a serious note, education is very, very important, and it's a hell of a thing when you can run roughshod over a community, and yet that community, because they're suffering from a political inertia, political ignorance, they can still vote for the person who would put them in that position. And what he did with that particular piece of legislation was literally destroy 2 generations of black Americans. And this is what he did. And you know, as I said to you, I find the act appalling, and I find him appalling.
So then let's come to, you know, Donald Trump now. So Clinton, let's say, messed up 2 generations of black men.
Yes.
Put them in prisons.
Yeah.
What has Donald Trump specifically done to help that?
Well, what Trump and his team have done is, as I said to you, brought forth what they call, this is the first stage of what's called the First Step Reform Act.
The more I met and spoke with those involved in our criminal justice system, the more clear it became that unfair sentencing rules were contributing to the cycle of poverty and crime like really nothing else before. It was time to fix this broken system, and it's a system of the past, and to improve the lives of so many people.
And there are certain provisions in this First Step Reform Act that I say will benefit prisoners, both black prisoners and poor prisoners within the United States. For example, they're looking at sentencing guidelines now. The sentencing guidelines, which were very varied before, have been brought closer. And so the distinction now between, the distinction that would be coming in between, say, for example, crack and crack cocaine would be very much closer now.
Right.
And one of the reasons why there was a differential.
There was a big one.
Well, there was a differential because crack was synonymous with black users, and cocaine was synonymous with your with your Ivy Leaguers in America. And of course, it would have been completely unacceptable for Ivy Leaguers to be getting the same sentences of people who lived in Brooklyn before gentrification or St. Louis.
So then why couldn't, if it took Donald Trump, a Republican, because black people in America have consistently for the past, 5 decades or less voted Democrat generally.
Yeah.
Why couldn't Obama do something like that, do you think?
Well, I mean, look.
The black president.
Look, let me say to you, I can only tell you about what's occurred. I think Obama would have to answer that himself. There are many questions that I would like to have, I would like to answer Obama. Perhaps this is not the right setting to do it. But before we even go to that, I wanted to speak very quickly about a woman by the name of Elizabeth Hinton.
Okay.
Now, Elizabeth Hinton, she was the assistant professor of history and African American studies, and she made a statement which was true in the light of these what I call governmental abuses in bringing forward this legislation, which I say harmed black people. And she pointed out that the Clinton administration knew that the criminal justice system was deeply unfair and biased against African Americans and chose to expand that system. Now, the reason I pointed out to you is because this is open information, this is open source information in America. People like Obama, who was a professor, would have been aware of who Elizabeth Hinton was.
Right.
And Obama, not only did he not seek to rescind this legislation, but he actually came out and damned black men for their personal behavior in terms of family building, which did nobody any favors.
What do you mean? What did it,
well, I'll tell you what he did. He came out and he attacked black men as not fit for purpose. He said black women lead our community and black women are strong and black women. Nobody's not denying that. But I asked myself, how helpful was that? Where was the inward investment in black and poor communities from Obama? Genuinely, I didn't see it. You know, where was the growth? I didn't see it. Where were the jobs? I didn't see it. I didn't see it at all. It's not me knocking Obama. I'm telling you what I saw, and I have a great deal of facts and figures here to back up my point. You know, 37 pages full of facts and figures to back up my point. And so